To Miami, our first heat features two boats that have never competed before. A brand new Budweiser. Pantry Pride has been around. Todd Yarling will be driving it. But also Steve Reynolds in the Cellular One and a brand new boat built by Jim Lucero. The course, you might be familiar with it. Smallest on the circuit at only 1 2/3 miles. A starting line near the pits and then the finish line directly in front of the stand. And for the all-time winningest owner, a silver anniversary. Bernie Little, how does it feel? You're starting your 25th year right now.
Yeah, Don, we sure are, and my heart is in there pumping to beat the devil, and I'm sure glad.
Take good care of that heart.
Yeah, I really am, but you can see what it does to me, and I know we're going to have a good day of racing here with Miss Budweiser.
Good luck today, Bernie.
Thank you, Don.
1 year ago, on a rainy Sunday day in Miami, Jim Cropfield got his 13th victory, and Bernie Little got his 54th, and the beat went on. As far as the drivers for Heat 1A in 1987, Jim Cropfield going against an old friend, Steve Reynolds, in his new boat, Cellular One, and Todd Yarling out of Hanover, Indiana. They're the three. The Cellular One and Steve Reynolds, that boat right out of the box, the wrapper's still on it practically. Having problems after qualifying this morning at 113 miles per hour. We'll see if it can get started in time. Here are the three boats, the brand new Miss Budweiser, the Pantry Pride with Todd Yarling. Qualifying at better than 108 miles per hour. A much better showing than last year. And here we come for our first preliminary heat in 1987. Here are the officials counting down. It's a legal start, and Todd Yarling with an outstanding start in lane number 1. Only a two-boat heat right now. We've got the Pantry Pride and Todd Yarling bouncing along as he comes into the first turn. The Budweiser and Jim Cropfield, of course, taking his time right now. Sure, he knows he's got the horsepower to compete and certainly to possibly go by the Pantry Pride, but he'll be easy on his equipment, and I don't think he wants a saltwater rooster tail in front of him. Turbines don't like salt water, we know that. This boat performing much better here in 1987 than it did in 1986. Todd Yarling a year older, this being a brand new Miss Budweiser boat. They seem to have the saltwater problems licked, where the other teams are still trying to straighten it out. And look how the Budweiser is already moving up on Todd Yarling, staying safely to the outside on this small 1 2/3 course. Coming around to complete lap number 1, Yarling and Cropfield. Yarling on the inside for the Pantry Pride, and the Budweiser takes over the lead here after the first lap. The boat's going at about 102 miles per hour on their average on this small course. You won't see the lightning speeds here like you will on faster courses that are much longer, like Evansville, Indiana, where it's a 2.5 or 2 mile course. Madison, Indiana, or Seattle, or Tri-Cities, Washington, where you have some incredible speeds when they come out west about 5 races into the season. But the Budweiser, after a lot of testing and adjusting, coming back in to retake the lead, going down the back chute. But again, the rebuilt sponsors, the rebuilt system on that Todd Yarling boat, the Pantry Pride, out of Hanover, Indiana. Jim Saddam, the owner, performing very, very well. And Todd Yarling as a driver has matured greatly over last year when they went through so much frustration. And he is holding his own as Jim Cropfield still stays safely on the outside. Jim and Nancy Saddam cheering on their driver as they come down the main straightaway. Jim Cropfield, the winner here in 1986, as well as 3 years ago. And in the meantime, it is Todd Yarling holding on and hoping to get 300 points. It is very important to pick up as many points as you can here in Miami. Give you a great start for the 1987 season. It paid off for the Budweiser last year when they went on to win the national title by a mere 31 points. With this new Budweiser boat, beautiful design, the air intake above. Of course, they had the blowover at the beginning of the year in May when they tested, but they have settled this boat down. Steve Reynolds, they've got a lot of testing to do, but that is going to be a bullet before the year is over with. This boat, they tamed it down, as I said, and Jim Cropfield came out Sunday morning, this morning, and set a new course record at better than 128 miles per hour. So that tells you what kind of faith he has in this boat and what the crew has done. So the Budweiser looking very good here in Heat 1A as Cropfield holds on to the lead against Todd Yarling in the Pantry Pride. Average speeds, again, around 102 to 105 miles per hour on this tight course. Short straightaways. Normally, the boats with the most horsepower can go up to about 160 miles per hour before they've got to hit the brakes, you might say, as they go into the entrance buoy and around the turn. Budweiser with a Rooster Tail lead, and he will get 400 points. If it will keep running and battling this saltwater situation, he'll be able to come in and be in good shape for the final. Bernie Little coming into his 25th year. Here comes the sprint for the finish as Todd Yarling is now moving up on the inside. The Budweiser will get the win, but it'll be close. Budweiser winning Heat 1A. Good performance by the Bud and the Pantry Pride. And still looking for points is Steve Reynolds in the Cellular One. Let's go down to the pits.
Okay, not too bad. First time out, 400 points. And what do you feel about that, Bernie?
Well, I feel fantastic. Is there any better way to start off your 25th year and to have Jim Cropfield and Miss Budweiser win the first heat?
Jim, when you knew the Cellular One was dead in the water, did you know?
Yeah, I saw Steve come out, and Lauren told me on the radio they pulled to the infield, and I saw him there. I thought maybe they would bring us, Todd and I, back in and call the heat, but they let us run, and things were fine.
I'm sure that you're going to see him this race and the rest of the races.
Well, I'm sure Steve's going to be there. You know, this is our first time in the water today, so they'll be there.
Winner, Miss Budweiser, Jim Cropfield. Don?
What a turnaround from last year, you guys. Todd, nice going.
Thanks a lot. You know, everybody worked real hard this winter, and we did our homework and read a lot of books, and it paid off.
Now, tell me the truth. Was that a little bit of a nitrous run down that last turn and coming down the last chute?
Well, you know, I know we realized we don't have the Budweiser equipment, so I thought I'd just lay behind him, try to see if he's going to finish, and it looked like he's going to finish, so I gave it all I had. I almost got him.
Good finish, Todd. Nice going.
Thanks a lot.
And with the Miami skyline as our backdrop, we'll return for Heat after this. Welcome back to Miami. We're just minutes away now from Heat 1B, and when I say Heat 1B, the heat is a major problem, I know, but you ran well yesterday and much better than you have in the past down here. Are you encouraged now?
Well, I think we're encouraged if you look back at our track record here. We're not very encouraged if you look at how fast the competition's going, but you've got to crawl before you can walk, before you can run, and what we'd like to do is see if we can go out and run a heat without overheating the engine, without compressor stalling it. Then we'll go from there.
Not so much high speeds, but be conservative because we got a long season ahead of us then.
Yeah, exactly. And this is a real unique situation here in Miami. We've never done very well here, but we've always been able to come out of here after disasters and get right back into the championship tussle. So, you know, a race doesn't make a season, and nevertheless, though, we want to give it our best shot here.
And it's great to see this man back racing again, Ron Snyder, out of New Bremen, Ohio. You might remember last year, Evansville, Indiana. Ron was thrown from the Holset Miss Madison hydroplane coming around the second turn. He suffered kidney and back injuries. Also, his face was cut and bruised badly. But he came back and is racing in '87. Back in Miami, this is Jack Schaefer Jr., driver of the U-15, hosing down the cockpit. I'm not going to ask him why. Maybe it just doesn't like hot vinyl. Here are the drivers for Heat 1B. Again, Chip Hanauer and the Miller American. Ron Snyder and the Holset Miss Madison. Finally, Jack Schaefer Jr. and the U-15. Miller American and Chip Hanauer aboard. Like the Cellular One and the Budweiser, has a new boat campaign in 1987, but they have got problems. Again, oh, look at that salt water going up and over the deck into the engine. The three boats set for Heat 1B. Looks like it's going to be an old-fashioned race with two-piston engine-powered boats and the conventional style with the drivers sitting behind the engines. A step back into the 50s and 60s, but these are quality folks and quality programs. Here we go. Ed Cooper's boat, the U-15, and Jack Schaefer aboard, both boats legal, and Schaefer with the lead as Ron Snyder is on the inside in the Holset Miss Madison down the main straightaway for the first time. The Miller camp, Fran Muncie, the owner. Obviously some frustration, and they can't wait to get on to the rest of the circuit where there's some fresh water waiting for them and not this salt stuff. In the meantime, Ron Snyder has taken the lead as they go down the back chute and into the second turn. Snyder, we talked about him being thrown from the boat in Evansville, Indiana in 1986. One way to combat that, they have given Ron a seat belt. Stirrups going over his legs and then across his waist. Keeps him into the cockpit, gives him a better feel of the boat, as a matter of fact. He said it feels so much better, understands the boat, read it better, now that he goes down the straightaways and doesn't have to worry about holding on and still competing. Ron Snyder in first place in the Holset Miss Madison. That boat gone totally through last winter, a new deck, a totally new left sponson, the bottom redone, new systems. That boat is one of the winningest in the history of hydroplane racing. And right now he has a Rooster Tail lead over Jack Schaefer in the U-15. Snyder, newly married. Says he courted his girl for 7 years before he finally popped the question. It's a good thing he drives boats faster than he courts women. Jack Schaefer in second place in the boat that used to be owned by Chuck Hickling, called the Tempest. He's in second place. Ed Cooper out of Madison, Indiana, the owner. Ed Sr. and Ed Jr. This boat using a turbocharged Allison engine. As far as Jack Schaefer, the boat he is driving, the U-15, is a supercharged Allison. Jack Schaefer has a good description. He says, these are the engines that won World War II. There's Jack there out of Irvine, California. Like many of the drivers, not a full-time racer in the Unlimiteds. He has his own company out in California selling executive jets. Yep, he's qualified and licensed to fly a number of different types of airplanes. Snyder out of New Bremen, Ohio. He stepped up, used to live in Piqua, Ohio for many years, and now that he is married and has moved his company to a new city, he is in first place here in Heat 1B in Miami. Second place, oh, you can see Schaefer bounced around, somehow stays in the cockpit and comes around the second turn. Here in Miami, Ron Snyder calls this a driver's course. It's a great equalizer. It's so small at only 1 2/3 miles. Short straightaways. Starts are critical. Positioning even more critical on a small course like this. And everybody says Snyder is one of the best at starting a race. Jack Schaefer driven that boat for many, many years, as we said, even back in the days when he was first starting, driving for Chuck Hickling. Supercharged Allison in that boat, the turbocharged in this particular boat, the Holson Miss Madison, the Holson Company, also involved in other forms of motorsports racing, providing turbos. Now they're in the unlimited hydroplane business as they have for the past couple of years. Ron Snyder coming down will pick up 400 points, and the winner of Heat 1B, Snyder, the Holson Miss Madison. 2 out of 3 boats finish. Schaefer and Snyder have a good time, 400, 300 points. And now let's go to Jim Henrik down in the pits.
Ronnie Snyder, Holson Miss Madison. You always do well in Miami. This has to be your course.
I love this course. It's the smallest course. It's a driver's course, so yeah, I love it.
4 boats have finished now in the 2 heats. 3 have been from the town of Madison, Indiana. Who's going to get the bragging rights?
Well, let's repeat what happened in New York last year.
Congratulations.
Thank you, Jimmy.
Attrition, as usual in Miami. You did a good job today. You get 300 points right off the bat.
There's nothing wrong with that, you know. We're pleased with it so far.
Well, it's a little different now. You got longer responses, longer riding surface, a little better ride.
Yeah, it's a much better ride. We've got one thing to fix. You've probably heard it popping a little bit down the straightaway, and we're a little too rich on the ADI, so we'll adjust that down and be a little quicker in the next heat.
ADI being with the coolant, basically.
Right, the anti-detonation injection, which is a water alcohol system that cools the charge down at high manifold pressure.
That's impressive. I like the anti-detonation
injection. Don't ask me what it is. I read the manual.
I guess I'll have to do a little homework. To the northeast, Miami Beach and the Atlantic Ocean. This is the Continental High Performance Corner. A closer look at the fastest race boats in the world. While Jim Kropfeld sucks on some ice cubes to stay cool, he also has a liquid cool suit inside. Other drivers believe in other systems.
Chip, the other drivers with enclosed canopies have gone with a cool suit. You didn't. Air conditioning. Why?
Well, we feel it's safer. When we tried to get Jim Kropfeld out of his boat after the accident, the 2 lines that put the fluid into the suit and back into the cool system that's mounted in the boat hung on to him, and we had to cut those lines to get out. We feel that the less umbilical cords there are to the boat, the better chance we have to get a driver out safely. So we've gone with air conditioning.
Steve Reynolds, like Kropfeld, feels this system developed by Dennis Carlson of Michigan is the best way to go.
Steve, does this thing work?
I'll tell you what, without this, I think the cockpit temperature, to me, would more than likely be right around 130 or 40 degrees. Circulating, you know, the cold water through this and through the piece that goes around inside your helmet, around your head. When we had gone down in the heat out there, I was comfortable. I just plugged the cool suit in, sat in the deck, and laid in the sun.
You know, you've got Chip down here who says, I'd rather have air conditioning because I don't have as many tubes if I got to get out in a hurry.
A matter of preference. If he's concerned about getting out, mine are located in such a place where it's not going to be a problem. They have quick disconnects on them. that they snap in and out very easily. If that's his concern, that's his choice not to wear them. Frankly, I wouldn't drive without one.
You don't have them on the arms.
No, I really don't think it's necessary. Where I really feel the heat is especially around the head. And with this cap going on, it's almost a rush of cold water when it goes. It can give you a headache.
You're a knockout with it on, too.
Thanks, buddy.
Or another way to stay cool is to hang around the pool on the Miami University campus. We'll return to racing right after this.